Okay, welcome to 2012. As promised, my first video is about segregation and gun control, the disgusting, disturbing, hypocritical history of it. In January of 2010, I took a constitutional law class. It was mandatory. Drinking from my Ronald Reagan 100th anniversary mug today. Okay, the professor said the term paper is voting rights. You take it from there. Some people chose Native Americans, some people chose women. One girl chose convicted felons, saying convicted felons should vote even when they're in prison. She's a liberal. I chose the former Confederacy, i.e. black people. Yes. I had to read 3 books. Now, because I'm smart, I went on Amazon, printed out the description of the book, and then had to approve it. I wasn't going to buy the fucking book, have her not approve it, and be stuck with the money. The books are The Triumph of Voting Rights in the South, Charles S. Bullock III and Ronald Keith Gaddy, whatever the fuck his name is. Free at Last to Vote, The Alabama Origins of the 1965 Civil Rights Act, Brian K. Landsberg. And the Voting Rights Act, Securing the Ballot. Not going to talk entirely about that, only just very, very briefly. Now, obviously, having looked at the voting of the former Confederacy, I was never in my life so proud to be a Republican. Never in my life. Now, let's talk about liberal Republican and conservative Democrat. Some people believe Mitt Romney is a liberal Republican. That's not a scientifically proven fact, that's a belief. It's an opinion. He was for abortion for many years. He was against guns for many years. He says he's not now, but anybody that wants to buy a gun in Massachusetts will understand. And then there's the conservative Democrat. JFK, for instance, John F. Kennedy Sr. Most rich little bastards, when the war comes, they use their father's influence to get out of the military. They have a medical doctor say they're disabled when they're not. They have their father get them a job wiping a congressman's ass. They may work in a factory that makes essential war parts. JFK had a bad back his whole life. He used his father's political horbling and bribing and shit to get into the Navy. He had a doctor that pushed the enlistment to the Navy. He was a lifetime member of the NRA. When he became president, he spent 50% of his budget on the military and defense. He spearheaded the SEAL and Green Beret teams. If you ever worn the Trident or worn the Green Beret, I appreciate your service. You wear it because of him. He made a few big mistakes here and there, not gonna lie. He cut taxes, which is a very, very conservative point of view. He was for minority rights. He made a great speech about the hypocrisy of America, where we're a free country, yet we oppress minorities. And he particularly talked about black people. And as he was making this speech, Medgar Evers' wife and children were watching in their living room. Medgar Evers was coming home late from work, and he was shot in the back by a Democrat, a registered Democrat, fanatical Klan man, Byron Della Beckwith. So JFK is the conservative Democrat. Conservatives tend to follow the Constitution verbatim. I am a constitutional conservative. I believe in the literal interpretation of the document. I believe that if you change the Constitution, you must do so to give power to, not take power from the people. Liberals, especially in the modern world, are like, well, you know, just because the founding fathers wrote it doesn't mean it's true. You know, we could twist it, especially if I want to. So that's Democrat, and that's conservative and liberal. Liberal Republicans, conservative Democrats. Now, Dred Scott and Emancipation Proclamation. The Dred Scott decision approved the constitutionality of segregation, slavery. It is constitutionally protected to have a subhuman class. Yes. The slave-owning child molester wrote in our founding documents, all men are created equal, except his slaves. And yet we have judges here that are saying it is constitutional to own slaves, to have second-class citizens, to oppress minorities. We have the Emancipation Proclamation. The Dred Scott was before the Emancipation Proclamation, obviously. President Lincoln came to office and he mentioned the Dred Scott decision. The Emancipation Proclamation was an executive order from President Lincoln. Good democracy. The Emancipation Proclamation freed slaves in the Deep South, the Confederate States, during the Civil War. It was an executive order. It was done for several reasons. A, Lincoln believed in emancipating the slaves. B, he wanted a middle finger to show to the Dred Scott supporters. C, he wanted to demoralize the South. He wanted to tell the South, I am still the president, you are still in my country. This is my country, not your Confederate shit. Now, the Emancipation Proclamation was an executive order. The next president coming in could have said, no more Emancipation Proclamation, you guys put the chains back on, you're slaves again. You needed a constitutional amendment to protect the minority classes, to stop slavery. The 13th Amendment was ratified by the Republican Party in 1865. Throughout the year, it took, don't forget this, the war ended, Lincoln was assassinated, new president coming in. The Republican Party did the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment says no more slaves. It's legal for the law to arrest you for suspicion of a crime. It's legal for a judge to imprison you. It's legal for the jail or prison to make you mop floors, clean toilets, break stones in the prison quarry. It's legal for the judge to make you clean up garbage on the side of the road for community service, clean shit out of the animal shelter for community service. But a citizen, myself, cannot imprison you and make you work for me. Violations, sex slavery. Kidnap a girl, hold her hostage, make her prostitute herself, you keep the money, she's a sex slave, she can't leave, she's a slave. The Red Triangle fire down in New York City was a factory. The employers were afraid the workers would leave. They locked them in. Fire happened, a bunch of women and girls got killed. The law says now, well, the law said it back then, they just didn't fucking pay attention to it. The law basically says, listen, if your employee leaves early, fire them, but let them leave. You cannot chain them up or lock the doors. That's the 13th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was ratified by the Republican Party between 1866 and 1869. That's how long the debates took. The 14th Amendment says, now that the slaves are no longer slaves, they're now citizens. So I know a lot of black people that claim slavery in the ancestry. I am the great-great-great-great-grandson or daughter of a slave. Well, the 14th Amendment says, if you were a slave, you're now a citizen. If you are the descendant of a slave, you're now a citizen. And you have all the citizenry rights to be protected. And the 15th Amendment, ratified by the Republican Party between 1869 and 1870, says everybody can vote. Color doesn't matter, religion doesn't matter, prior slavery doesn't matter. You cannot tell a former slave, because you were a slave 9 years ago, you can't vote today. They were ratified by the Republican Party, and I say that with pride because 100% of Republicans voted for these amendments, 100% of Democrats voted against the amendments. Therefore, they were ratified by the Republican Party. So now, we have constitutional law to support the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, this video is about how gun control advocates deviate from the Constitution. And we're comparing that to segregation. Let me check my time. Yeah, I know. I'm time still. I got a few minutes. I've got one thing. And then I'm going to kill it. Okay. Equality under the law. The first black senator was Reverend Hiram R. Revels from Mississippi. Jefferson Davis renounced his citizenship and resigned from the Senate from Mississippi to form the Confederacy. He renounced his citizenship entirely. He did not get it back after he was dead. Neither did Robert E. Lee. Now, when Mississippi and other Confederate states were reintegrated back into the Union, they needed politicians to run them. Well, you cannot have Jefferson Davis back because he gave up his citizenship. You got to find someone else. And they found an educated black man who was a Union officer. He was a minister in the Union Army, chaplain corps. He took over the seat vacated by Jefferson Davis several years earlier, ironically. Now, you would literally have, during the 1870s, 80s, 90s, 1900s, you would literally have a community where a black person could be a congressman, a senator, a mayor, city councilman, state representative, sheriff's deputy, have full equality under the law. Another jurisdiction would tell a black person, listen, if you try to vote, we're going to kill you. Don't vote. You're not allowed to vote. We don't like you. Two completely different sides of the coin. Compare that to the evil weapons accessory ban. Some guy in some state buys a rifle legally, collapsible buttstock, pistol grip, bayonet lug, flash suppressor. He doesn't have any evil intentions with it. He's going to use it for home defense. No evil intention. Another state, a guy buys a rifle, bayonet lug removed, flash suppressor removed, buttstock permanently fixed in one position, and he can get arrested if they think his buttstock might be collapsible. Equality under the law. Two people, same thing. It's like, so that's the differential between the equality. You have Senator Rebels, a black man, a senator. Other jurisdictions, guys are told, you vote, we'll kill you. Literally. We will literally kill you. We have a terrorist group, the Klan, will kill you. And then you have another guy who could be a veteran. There was a veteran in California who was arrested because they thought his rifle had an evil feature. He was exonerated. He's actually suing now. Also, the approved list. Approved gun, unapproved gun. I've seen gun lists. This gun is on the banned list. This gun is on the approved list. So what the hell's the difference? Most of those lists are stupid because this gun is on the approved list and another gun, which is more dangerous, is on the banned list. I'm sorry. This gun is on the approved list and a gun that is less dangerous is on the banned list. This gun is on the banned lists and another gun, which is just as powerful, on the approved list. I can't figure it out. Thank God I don't have a banned and approved list. So think about that. You go to this state, you buy this gun, it's totally legal. You go to another state to tell you that gun is on the ban list. We'll arrest you if we think you have it. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to start up again because I want to get really into this.